Hi, I'm Amy and welcome to my channel. I help women in their 30s heal their attachment styles so that they can feel secure and fulfilled in their relationships. And in today's video, I'm going to give you my top 3 tips on and what I did to transform the relationship with my partner. Now, I just want to say on a side note, I have got an offer on my website at the moment. If you subscribe to my website, you will receive a free course on how to move on from a relationship fast. So let's dive into today's video. So what my background is I was previously an anxious, preoccupied attachment style. I'd been divorced and I was in a relationship with my current partner, which was incredibly turbulent. And I spent so much time thinking, well, there must be something wrong with us. Maybe we're just not compatible. There's something wrong with me, something wrong with him. And I couldn't really grasp what the issues were. And, I didn't want to either. Being completely honest, I was fine being completely oblivious to what was going on within me. And what that caused was really high levels of conflict within the relationship. We had a lot of dynamics that were really painful. There was a lot of push-pull going on. There was a lot of on again, off again. Lots and lots of arguments over really, really small things that would just blow up. And this went round in a cycle for a number of years. And, I would sit with my friends and see other people whose relationships were really happy. And I felt really quite sad because I really wanted that, but I just didn't know how to get it. I didn't know how to get to that point with anybody, regardless of who it was. And I really struggled for those first few years until I discovered what my attachment style was, which was a really pivotal moment in my journey. And I really didn't trust relationships at all. I didn't trust that he would have my best interests in mind. I didn't trust that I wasn't going to get left or cheated on. And that really showed in my actions and how I behaved towards him, what the relationship must have been like. But we are still together and we chose to work these things out together, which I think is the number one priority. You've both got to be willing. It does start with you. You have got to lead with example almost, but it is possible for both of you to work on your core, your internal dialogue when it comes to relationships, so that you can both thrive and move forward to what you both really want. And in healing my attachment style, so going from anxious, preoccupied to secure, was the thing that really did supercharge this. It was the thing that made it go really, really fast. And I could break subconscious programming really quite quickly once I know that it was because of my attachment style. So it really put space in between me and what was really going on, so I could observe more and I could look at what I was doing so that I could change it. So that is why in most of my videos I do say that it comes down to what your attachment style is, because that is what my experience is. I've lived it, I've experienced what it's like not doing the work, I've experienced what it's like doing the work, and I can tell you from experience that when you really go within and you heal your attachment style, you heal your core wounds and your core beliefs about yourself, I can tell you that your relationship will improve. It has to, because you become a different person. So there has got to be some change within so you can see it outside of yourself. So the top 3 tips that I would give anybody who is in this situation, who is in an on again, off again relationship, who has a person in mind who they really want to be with, but it seems impossible. I'm here to tell you that it is completely possible, but you have to accept that that work starts with you. And I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but it will happen. So my top 3 tips, what I would give anybody in this situation, and what I did to really transform that relationship, was number 1, I surrendered the need to be right. When I look back at our arguments and our conflicts, it was usually one or both of us fighting over who was right. We needed to be right. And I personally know that this is a pattern within me where I was like a dog with a bone. I would not admit that I was wrong. I wouldn't admit that the other person might have had a point. That was a really hard one to drop. And I really had to reframe what that meant for me. So how I did this was that I asked myself in those moments, what is more important, being right or intimacy within the relationship? which one was more important and which one was more aligned to what I wanted. And once I did that, I calmed down straight away, and I was completely prepared to listen to what he had to say. And we'd have more of a dialogue, a healthy dialogue, where we could get to the root of the problem actually quite quickly. And it didn't need to be this huge argument. It didn't need to be this massive deal where we'd split up for a week or two over it and not speak. And, you know, those painful dynamics and those painful patterns that we had going on around conflict went away. So the relationship became a lot more relaxed, and we were both a lot happier. And over time, we did become more confident in sharing what we actually thought in a way that wasn't going to offend the other person. So that might be my number one tip: surrender the need to be right, because you don't need to be right. And seek to understand the other person rather than fighting to put your point across. Seek to understand where the other person is coming from. Because what will happen then is that they will want to know where you're coming from as well, so that you can come up with a compromise if you need to. You can make space for each other, and you can create safety within the relationship, because you both know that each of you is going to get listened to. Regardless of whether the other person thinks you're right or not, you will still be heard. So tip number 2 in this situation would be to drop the neediness and desperation. Now, I know that this is so much easier said than done. And I was incredibly needy. I mean, I would feel in utter turmoil when we'd split up, and I would feel that horrible gut-wrenching feeling of desperation and neediness and despair, and thinking, oh, this is it, that's it now, it's not going to happen for me, we're going to just be split up and I'm not going to get over it. And, you know, I would spend weeks in that space, and although physically I wasn't putting any pressure on what I wanted to happen, I was energetically I did have my foot on his neck. So what do you do about that when you're in that space and you're feeling that, oh, the desperation, and I need to get in touch with them, I need to speak to them, I need to put this right? The first thing you need to do is accept that, you know, it is normal to feel needy and desperate in those situations. There isn't any way around it, but you can dramatically reduce the anxiety that you're feeling by, number one, understanding that they are not responsible for meeting your needs, you are. And 2, by coming up with ways, really healthy ways to have those needs fulfilled off your own back. So what I did was I got super interested in my self-work. I read up everything that I could about attachment styles. I became a coach on attachment styles. And this is what I did in the space of 2 months. And I really started to rethink what my career prospects were. I started to think what trajectory I was going on in my career. And I was looking at ways how to improve myself and how to improve my home and my living environment. It was the only time that I did not sit around feeling the neediness and the desperation and the longing. Which leads me to my 3rd point, which is get super interested in other things. Because regardless of whether you believe it right now or not, your happiness does not depend on another person. It feels like it when you're in the ditch and you're feeling it and you think, I'm never going to be happy with this person. But that isn't true. The only person responsible for your own happiness is you, and you've got everything that you need to make yourself happy. It does not depend on another person. You just think it does in those moments. So just to recap, surrender the need to be right, drop the neediness and desperation, and get super interested in something else, just for the time being, because, as I say, it is perfectly possible to have your person. It is perfectly possible to have the relationship that you really, really, really want. But there is some programming that needs to go on to stop these patterns going on that's causing the up and down, the roller coaster of emotions. There's inner work to be done to stop that from happening in the future. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a like so that it becomes available to more people. And I will see you in the next video.